Well, hello there. This is Sterling Sherrill, and if you hear some snorting or snoring next to me, it's not me. I do have allergies right now, but it's my new business partner named Posey, who is my 5-month-old Boston Terrier puppy that we just picked up from Indiana not too long ago. But wanted to introduce myself, if you don't know me, by giving this hopefully one of many blog posts, videos. I prefer not to type. I like to talk, make an outline talk, so I just made some couple quick slides, but you'll hear me talk about different points today. And this comes about because I've helped numerous friends, family, and even paid students start and grow their businesses online in particular, and I've been doing it for several years. I have numerous businesses that I do, from that are digital products to physical products to apps and so forth, and I've kind of held back, kind of been behind the laptop, so to speak. But some recent developments, and maybe I'll talk about that some other time, I just feel that it's time for me to add my voice to the conversation, and I think I'll have a different perspective on things that may help some folks, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm really here to help. Hopefully that does it for you, and you can leave some comments. Just starting out, so there's going to be very few people. That's fine. You have to start somewhere. You just have to, and this is not my number one thing, but I want to help folks. So I'm going to start that today by doing this blog post that you see here, just a few slides, on letting your wedding night ruin your marriage and business. So with that, let's begin. I want to tell you about a real-life marriage disaster and how it can help your business success or failure. And this comes not from me per se, but from someone I know who was actually a college professor who because he was a college professor, obviously dealt with a lot of younger folks, and people would meet in college and they'd get married. And he had this one couple that really liked him, had taken his class, and they got married, and they were married less than a year, and were having a very hard time in their marriage. Matter of fact, it looked like the marriage was about to end. And they said, "Hey, can we come in and speak with you and see if you can help us out?" And so he reluctantly said, "Okay, I'm not a counselor, but let me see." And so as they began, he said, it became apparent to him that it was all the man's fault. It was the guy's fault, not her fault, that this marriage was in trouble. And not being a trained counselor, about 15 minutes into it, he just said, as he stopped it and said, "Listen," he pointed at him and said, "This is your fault. What's wrong with you?" And that's not what you're supposed to do when you're a counselor. You're supposed to say, "Oh, well, everyone's equal," and da-da-da. You didn't have that training. I'm sure you can relate. I am the same way. I've actually done marriage counseling as well, too. I don't know why people ask me to, but I have. And I've married people as well, too, and performed the ceremonies. But he asked the guy, "What's your problem?" And he finally breaks down. After all the back and forth of this and that, he said, "Well, it all started on our wedding night." And that was kind of strange, and the woman kind of looked at him kind of strange, because she didn't realize. She didn't know something was wrong since her wedding night, and that has been cause of all the problem. But what he said was that they had had the ceremony and the reception, the dancing and the gift, all the whole thing, the cake, the whole thing, and they got to the special hotel that night, and he went to the bathroom and got ready, and then she obviously had some stuff to put on, and so she went to the bathroom next. And he said, as she was getting ready in the bathroom in the hotel room, he heard some very distinct bodily function noises emanating from the bathroom that she was getting prepared in, and it was that actually ruined his image of the wedding night, and he'd been struggling for the marriage because he couldn't get that scene out of his mind. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing that someone that has it's just did their vows to love, honor, the other person to cherish, or whatever they say. That reality comes to fruition the first night of marriage, and they can't handle it. And I see that a lot with people who are trying to grow their business online. Not the noises per se, but just the perspective that they have. And I want to talk about that real quick today, if you let me. This is the truth. Online business is more real than people think. And I run into this all the time. I actually, when I did my first point, I was going to say it's more work than you think, but it's more real than you think. Because I've had people who are friends of mine and so forth, and they see, hey, I'm doing well, and we're able to do things and have things, and I'm pretty much kind of staying at home. Is this like magic money that just appears? And they really honestly think that just the Google machine or the whatever just gives me money while I sit around and punch keys. And they don't see all the real work that I put in to the business. All the things that I learn about coding websites, about creating the right sales page and testing it and failing with it and trying a different product or a different approach, different headlines, all these kinds of things that just take forever, it seems, and you're failing over and over, and it is really honest to goodness work. And they don't see that. They just see, because it's a different thing than they're used to from going to a 9-to-5 job or whatever, that they don't see that. And I see that with a lot of people who are trying to start a business. Maybe you have a business, a physical business that you're selling with a storefront, you're trying to sell it online, or you're trying to promote something online, whatever you're trying to do, or just starting out. They just see that people present out there when they're looking around. It's like, yeah, I'm making this much money doing this, or I'm making this much money, and whoever they're following at the time, or clicking on, you can find it on YouTube, or sales pages or launches that they get in their email, like, hey, check out this system makes all this money. That they just see that, and they don't look at this as real work. It's real work, just like a marriage is real work. You have these ideas and thoughts going into it, but then when the reality hits and they realize, hey, this is not as great as I thought it was going to be, they just quit and give up. A lot like this guy in his marriage, when he realized this was not all, the fantasy that he had in his mind, he gave up. And I see that a lot with people. And you have to realize that this is going to be real work. But I have something good news today. I have some good news to tell you about this. It gets easier as you go. Listen, I've been married now for 24 years. Yeah, I got married right out of grade school. Now, I've been married for 24 years, and I can tell you the truth. I tell this to a lot of folks, and if you are in a new marriage or a marriage that is having some trouble, I'm going to be quite honest with you. At the first, several years, I don't know, 1 through 5 or 7 or whatever, 10, 23, it can be rough. It can be really rough because you're learning to live with someone in that marriage, and you have different ideas, and they have different ideas and perspectives and thoughts you probably really haven't even shared, experience they haven't shared, and now you come together and you're supposed to have a marriage, and you fight, and, you will fight about things, but here's the honest to goodness truth. The further you make it without breaking up, without getting divorced, all that kind of things, those things that you fought about that were you swore, this is it, this is the end, I can't believe this. Those things you end up just shrugging off or even laughing about as you go and get more years into a marriage. It's true. So after a while, if you're there, it's like, hey, I used to hate when she did this, or I used to hate when he did this. But after a while, it's like, it's not worth fighting over anymore. It's really not. Because you've gone on longer, you've learned to accept some things, you've learned to deal with some things, you've got better skills to deal with that thing that you thought was a deal breaker, and you'll make it. And I see that with online business people as well, too. And I want you to know, we talk about real and the work and everything, but it does get easier as you go. As you add more skills, you may hate putting together that opt-in page. You may hate testing this. You may hate trying to find this. But as you go and develop that skill, some things you'll stop doing, by the way. Some things like, I don't know, I don't really need to do that. And you learn, but if you quit, you'll never learn those things. And that's the main thing you can learn from marriage too. That I can tell you, I mean, I'm not, well, I'm going to say actually, I think 24 years is pretty good. I'm going to say I'm not an old pro, but I think 24 years, coming up on 25 here in several months, qualifies me to speak to that at this point now. It's kind of hard to believe, but that is the truth. And I want to tell you, it gets easier as you go. So when you're doing this business, if you're discouraged now, it's fine. This is more work than I thought it was going to be, and oh man, I'm never going to get out of this, or no, I'm never going to make as much money as I thought I was going to be. When do I stop this? It will get easier, I promise you, as you go into your online business. Now, the third thing I want to talk about is you need to celebrate your milestones, okay? This is a big one, because when people start off, again, the fantasy of the marriage, the image of whatever the marriage is going to be, this is going to be like this. So they take that to the business, same thing. Oh man, I can't wait to be on all these vacations while I make money on the beach, because people are just giving money 24/7 and all these things. And then you see all the pictures of these people who are making all this money and doing that and saying, hey, follow me. And it could be multi-level marketing. It could be, whatever, writing books, whatever they're doing. It's like, oh yeah, it's great. This is a great life. And the same thing happens in marriage. You have to worry about your milestones. My wife and I, we just, like I said, we celebrated 24 years just a few weeks ago. And we look forward every year. We go to a really nice dinner. To me, it's a really nice dinner. It's a place called the Capitol Grill. It's a chain, but we just seem to really like it. And it's about a 3-hour deal, to be quite honest, to eat there, because we go on our wedding anniversary. It falls on, they have this special wine tour of wines or whatever that they do, and we don't know anything about wine. We really don't drink a lot of wine, but we do that night, and they pour it for us and everything like that and tell us about it. We feel really special. We dress up, get our pictures taken, and so forth. We don't buy each other presents. I don't remember the last time we bought anniversary presents. And we have a great time, folks. We have an absolutely great time and look forward to it every year, enjoy it every year. After dinner, we're too tired and we drank too much because we're not used to it. We Uber back and pretty much fall asleep. It's not completely romantic, but my point is this. We can look at other people who are going on, worldwide cruises for their anniversary, or they're getting all this jewelry, cars, these big trips and vacations, all these things that they do. And we can feel discouraged. And I see that a lot in people with businesses online in particularly. It's like they see everyone else's success and they can't celebrate their own success. They can't find the things that makes them happy, that makes them content to say, yeah, this is working for us. And I want to challenge you on that a little bit. There are things that you can do that no one else in your immediate sphere, friends and family, can do. They're like, wow, you can do that? And as we talked about before, you get better as you go. So celebrate and focus on your things. What your milestones are. Whether that be your first sale or, your first affiliate promotion, whatever it is. Getting first networking event, whatever you go to. First time you put something together and it actually shows up right online. I know that. Matter of fact, I'll be honest with you, I'm still doing that. I'm going back and learning this still on like, hey, I forgot how to do this. I got to go back and do this. And I'm like, oh, that's how you do it. And I feel excited about it. So you celebrate your own milestones. So this is how I want to conclude this time together. So what about you? Where are you at in your journey? What is it that you need to focus on? Okay, let's think about that again. It's real work. That's the first thing we talked about. This is real work. Do you know that going into it, or you just have this image and fantasy of all this money you're going to make and how great it's going to be, and all these, I'm going to push a button and money's going to show up, without realizing, it's work and it's real? Are you, number two, we talked about it gets easier as you go. Are you the kind that's like, yeah, I just quit that and I go on to something else. I quit that and go on to something else. If you are really onto a traffic method or some kind of product, why don't you stick that out? Stick that out. I mean, really delve into it. If you, instead of going to something else and quitting, people quit marriages and they're just like, well, I'm going to go find someone else because this and that. And once you quit, it's easy to quit the second time. I have nothing against people who have been divorced, and there's good reasons for it. I know that, but I'm just trying to encourage folks to really dig in for the long haul and flight. And then, are you looking too much at other people's successes, other people's milestones, without looking at your own? Forget the pie in the sky stuff. You know what I'm saying? Adjust your ideas. Sometimes what you think is beautiful can stink, but just for a while. Trust me. All right? Stay committed. How was it like when you first learned to ride a bike or taught your kid to ride a bike? What was that like? Oh, man, this sucks. I fell. I'm never doing that again. Hey, you got to get up and do it again. But I'm going to fall. You're going to fall. You're going to fall. But you got to stay committed to it. How about swim? I'm a horrible swimmer, but I remember I would grab on and I just try little things. I'd grab on the pool, the public pools, and try to swim as best I can until I eventually could swim adequately. I can fake it well enough. I can't be an Olympic swimmer, but I learned because I kept trying. And how about selling your first product? Stay committed to those things. Reach for those things. Create your first list. Get your, whatever it is. Stay committed to those things. And then lastly, focus on what you have done. Your product, your website, your first sale. Forget about all this other stuff. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to say. This image that you have, that you start out with, that you hear about, that you want. Maybe it's even right. I don't even care if it's even right to think those things and fantasize about things. It makes you feel so good. When you're faced with life like this guy was on his wedding night, you cannot ruin the rest of everything by quitting. In your business, you can't let that ruin you. You can't let the fact that it's real work, you have to stay committed, that you need to focus on your milestones. You have to do those things. And if you do those things, you will actually find yourself with a stronger, real business. Again, I'm not a marriage counselor, but I'm going to say that too. You can find yourself with a stronger, better marriage too. Yeah, what qualifies me? 24 years. That's all. Nothing else. I don't have any degrees in it and things like that. And there are people who make more money than me online. So what qualifies me to tell you this? Whatever. If this helps you, if it helps you understand and remove some of the garbage and say, you know what? I've been looking at this wrong. And I see that a lot. People look at it wrong. So I want to help you look at it right. This is work. Dig in. Stay committed to it. Celebrate your milestones. You can do it. Hey, tell you what. If you have something you want to share, comment on this video. Like I said, it's probably 2 people seeing it. My wife and just one other person. I don't know. But if it helps somebody, or if you have a question, comment. Let me know. Share this. If this helps you, share it as well too, because that's what I'm here to do. Thanks.